You know, we're all living and working in this incredibly digital world, right? But have you ever actually stopped to think about how deep your own digital skills go? Well, today we're going to do just that. We're going to decode a really fascinating snapshot of where professionals, just like you, really stand, from the apps we use every day to the wild frontiers of AI. So, let's dive in.
All right, let's just start with a quick question for you. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not a clue and 5 being I could teach this stuff, where would you honestly put your own digital skills? Go ahead, think of your number. Got it? Okay, keep it in mind as we see what everyone else had to say. So we put that exact same question to a group of 15 professionals. We didn't just ask them once, though. We asked about 10 different skill areas. And their answers, well, they give us this amazing glimpse into our collective strengths and, maybe more importantly, where the real blind spots are.
Okay, first up, Section 1. What's your digital score? Before we get into any of the nitty-gritty numbers, you got to know who we're talking about, because their jobs and their industries, well, they really shape this whole story. So who are these people? Well, you can see here our group has a pretty heavy tilt towards finance and banking. That's almost half of our circle. But we've also got a solid mix from IT, architecture, and a bunch of other fields thrown in. Now, yeah, it's a small group, but this little cross-section gives us a surprisingly clear picture of today's professional world.
All right, moving on to Section 2, confidence in the core. Let's start with the basics, right? The digital bread and butter of the modern workplace. The stuff we literally can't do our jobs without.
And no surprise here, this is where people feel right at home. Confidence in using daily apps and devices, super high, almost a 4 out of 5. Cloud tools like Google Drive or Microsoft 365, strong at a 3.7. Even making presentations or documents scores a pretty solid 3.4. The takeaway is obvious. When it comes to the day-to-day stuff, we've got it locked down.
This quote pretty much says it all, doesn't it? We heard this idea over and over, from folks in marketing to people in accounting. The tools you're forced to use every day just become second nature. I mean, they're the absolute baseline for being competent at your job today.
But here's where the story gets really, really interesting. Let's talk about the AI and adaptability gap. What happens when we step outside that comfort zone? What about the new, constantly changing tech? Just look at this slide. It's like two different worlds. On one side, you've got those core skills we just talked about. Everybody's feeling pretty good. But then you look at the other side, and you see this real dip in confidence for what we're calling frontier skills. Things like fixing your own tech problems, learning new software on the fly, and, yep, using AI.
This table shows you just how massive that gap can be. Check it out. You've got an IT researcher who's all 5s, a total expert in troubleshooting and adapting, and right next to them, a finance pro who gives themselves a 1. A 1. This tells us something huge. The big digital divide isn't about age anymore, it's about mindset.
And let's zoom in on that AI number for a sec. The average confidence score, 3.67 out of 5. And you might think, hey, that's pretty good. But that number is totally misleading. It's hiding the real story, which is a group that's completely split. You've got confident 5s and super hesitant 2s all mixed together. We are definitely not all entering the AI age at the same speed.
Okay, let's shift gears a little, because this brings us to something that's just as critical: digital citizenship. This isn't just about what we can do at technology, it's about how we do it. Think of this as our responsibility report card.
At first glance, the averages here look pretty solid. People feel pretty confident they can spot fake info or protect their privacy online. But look at that little note at the bottom. The scores ranged from 1 to 5. That's the real story. For every person who feels totally prepared, there's someone else who feels completely lost. And that, well, that's a huge red flag. It points to some serious cracks in our collective digital shield.
And that right there is digital citizenship. It's that crucial layer of responsibility that has to go on top of any technical skill. It's the critical thinking that makes you question a source, the awareness that makes you protect your data, and the conscience that guides how you use powerful tools like AI.
So, after digging through all this data, let's pull it all together. What is the final takeaway? What does this little snapshot really tell us about where we are right now? It really boils down to 3 big things. Number 1, we're solid on the basics, no question. Number 2, that frontier of AI and adaptability, it's a really uneven playing field out there. And number 3, technical skill is only half the story. That digital citizenship piece is the other, equally vital half of the equation.
If you're going to take just one single thing away from all of this, let it be this sentence right here. We are comfortable with the tools of today, but we are way less prepared for the tools of tomorrow. We've mastered the present, but the future? That's still a huge question mark.
And that brings us right back to where we started, back to you. We've just looked at the digital skills portrait of these 15 professionals. Now, think back to that number you gave yourself at the beginning. What does your portrait look like? And more importantly, what's the one skill you're going to focus on building next?